All right, then. Hello, Dan. I'm going to try to get this to work for you. Let's see if I find my channel, make sure I can give you the live. There it is, Dan Kinzer's world map for Spatial. All right. Pause that and post that for you. Okay. All right, so streaming it now. So Dan asked about, what about this map? So he gave me a map, and here's the map, and I'm going to save that image as and call it Dan's World Map. I won't use an apostrophe. Dan's World Map. And now that I have that one set, I'm going to go into Blender here and make a new file, a new general file. Again, I'm going to select everything with A and get rid of or delete everything that's in there because I don't need it. And I'm going to add a mesh plane. And I'm going to scale that mesh plane way up because it's a world map. And I know when it's been scaled up because with the defaults, when it starts to clip like that, that's where I can kind of stop. Because that's the Blender default. If you wanted to change that, you could change clipping here in view and make it bigger than 1,000 meters. But the fact that it's clipping there means I'm at 1,000 meters, or basically a square kilometer. And that's fine for the default because we don't have to get a proper scale for this map. So having that there, then it's really easy to then go to a material down here for the object. And you could select its color if you wanted. You'll notice nothing happens because we are not on the right shader. So you need this shader here. This is wireframe. This is just basic without materials, sort of known as solid shading. This is the material shader, and this is rendered lights and stuff. We don't need all that. Use a lot of memory. So use this one here. Again, another way to do it is to hit the Z key when you're here and pick the type of shading that you want. You want to go to material preview to see the material, but we're going to make this material an image. So down here where there's a dot, click on the dot and go over to image texture. Then it'll turn black, and it has an open folder here that you can put in. So you open that picture that you just put in. I have a picture that I just did called Dan's World Map. Open the image. There it is. Now your feet are going to fall through the floor if you do this because a plane doesn't have any dimensions. So click on it, hit tab to go into edit mode, or do it up here on the top left. Object mode is the default. There's edit mode, or hit tab. Tab takes you into edit mode. Then hit E for extrude, and it will bring a blue line and extrude up. Don't extrude down because your feet are going to be on the top of the surface. If you do down, your feet are going to sit in quicksand. So just bring it up just a little, just to have enough dimension there that it has some thickness to it. And maybe that's a little too thick. So I'm going to scale this in Z and bring it, well, I can't scale it anymore. Oh, because I'm in there. So GZ would bring it down a little bit. But yeah, just a little bit of thickness. And then go hit tab to get back into object mode. So make sure you're back in object mode and you're done. So all you have to do now is file, export as a GLTF and call it, let's call it Dan's World Map. And I'll put that in my, where am I putting my Tiger Blend area where we keep this stuff. All right, so it's done. And now if you went into Spatial, then when you're in Spatial, if I wanted to get rid of this, I could bring in an environment, upload and replace, and select instead Dan's World, which is, there it is, Dan's World, and keep the position. And I ended up underwater anyway. Why is that? So let's see. Let me go to environment, edit. Something went wrong. So let's bring it down. There we go. So you have to keep bringing it down. There we go. Yep. And say done. Oh, that didn't work at all. So that is very bizarre. Maybe I made a mistake when I did my extrusion. So let me Let me just go through the whole thing again for you. So you add a mesh plane and you scale it up until it begins to clip, maybe. It's beginning to clip. So you scale it up and then you pick a new material. Make sure that you're on this viewport shader here for materials, and then click on this little yellow dot and say image texture, open the folder, find the Dan world map, open the image. Now that we have that, go to edit by hitting tab or clicking here, hit E for extrude and then do it in the Z, do it E for extrude and move it up a little bit. And then come out of that and then export it as a GLTF. I'm going to call it Dan's World again and overwrite that. I'm not sure what went wrong. Let me try it now. Maybe I messed with it, moved it in the wrong direction. Because now when I go in, I upload this new environment. Then Dan's World. And I'm going to reset the position. There we go. Okay, working fine. Looks good. So now Dan's World is there, and if it's too big now, then you could have made it smaller. But we can also go to the environment and edit the position and so we can shrink it down some and then bring it up. And again, his feet are stuck. So there's always these issues with the feet with this thing. You got to bring it below the mesh. That's why I really like using Blender GIS. So maybe that, nope, still didn't work. So yick. In that case, make it much lower. And it still ain't working. So I can't really tell you why now it's... So that's like super bizarre, like when you change the size, a lot of weird things happen. Because when I brought it in, it was working just fine. It just was a bit big. No, he's still acting weird. If you bring it like really tiny, what happens? That's fine. That's fine. If you make it bigger.
Because that was still before they changed it? No. Oh. No. But I got my green card before I was born, and still they put it in doing it.
So there's always weird weirdnesses with this. It's still like falling through, which is like crazy. And I don't know why that is. So maybe in this case, we like this. Maybe we want to make this smaller. So we'll scale it down. And then we'll save it and export it. Oh shoot. Okay, export it and redo it. Let's go back to here and change the environment. Upload and replace. And Dan's World. So whatever it's doing, it made it smaller, but it's got that foot thing going on, which it shouldn't. It's like walking in the water. So I don't like its position. I'm trying it to let it know that. So whenever you try to change the scale, no, he's still falling through the world. And that's just bizarre. maybe it's too thick. If we scale this down in Z and make it really thin, then we might have a better chance. And then go back to here, change the environment.
When you change your highlights on your car,
Let's reset the position. Huh, he's still caught up in it, and so is this creature here. So
That was when you were a teenager.
yeah, but even the car I had when my kids were young, it was like that.
and he keeps falling through
Yeah.
collision.
But I'm sure they had that. But my father, he wasn't a good driver. And we never really needed a car because for whatever we did,
No,
it was enough
well,
to do
that is really,
transportation.
Yeah.
really
And
bizarre.
my father did these like, Blunder cars, Volkswagen.
And the only thing I can think is that
He had two or
when we go into edit,
which one is destroyed and then we
whatever this surface
he
is,
used one, but he was not a good driver. And we always, my older stepsisters, they always accuse him
like that would be the surface that has the collision. And it may have to do with the normals and the collision properties on here. But
license, you gave him, gallons of olive oil.
because if you do a cube
Because they used to give him
and you scale up the cube and then you scale the cube down
my family owned
to make it flat,
olive mill, like a pressing, like an old thing with a stone thing or whatever.
what you can do, you can make it a really thin cube and then scale that out.
People used to pay us
If you then try to add that material, the material comes in really weird. And no matter how you try to scale it, you don't get the full map. So that's the problem with using a cube. A cube doesn't let you, it just doesn't let you do the whole world. So if you do repeat, if you do extend, doesn't help. Single image sequence, like it doesn't really help you to do that. So that's why you can't really work it that way. I mean, there is a way in using, I think it's under UV editing. You can, because you unwrap the cube, you can come in here and you can take the top of the cube and try to re-project it. But even if you did that, and even if you scaled the whole thing up, I mean, what you really want is just this top surface, right? So you really want just this, and this. That's the surface. And you could take that and stretch it. You can stretch that corner and stretch that corner and stretch that corner. By now everybody's eyes are glazing over. And that way we can look at, if you, ooh, I didn't mean to do that. That's the whole thing. I don't want the whole thing. So you can do that, and then when you go to the material, you should be able to go into the layout. Yeah, and there we go. So now I've done it on a cube, and let me see if that helps. Export the cube. And then export that as Dan's World, and come in here and replace this with.
Oh, Sunny. Only Sunny does that.
There we go.
I was like,
Huh, okay, looks good. So there's a globe that can be worked on. Now we'll see what happens if, I'm worried if I make this smaller, if I edit the position and I bring it down in scale,
One apiece.
No.
So I really say it in the
and then
words.
bring it down
I don't know.
so that it's smaller, you still get this thing where, okay, it worked.
So let me say it.
Okay, so you can scale this cube, so it's not such a bad
So
thing,
yeah, this, thank you.
although it's underneath the world, and it shouldn't be.
No, but he's like born in Italy, so his accent is strong. And he
Are you
went.
gonna make me tell this joke?
Oh yeah, please, please, please.
All right, once I finish, I just gotta get this,
If you don't stop now, you're not gonna have a cake.
and then
You'll
eat a
have
piece of
with
cake.
us.
All right, so yeah,
It's like
there we go. So this one has the right collisions. So this is the one I'll send you, because you can mess around with the scale of that, but this cube did work. And you can walk around from Hawaii to wherever you want to go. I think those planet lines are walkable. That size is pretty good. So let me then, how do I share this with you? I will go into, I will go into here, and I will put it into my blending realities thing as a file for you. So here's the group, blending realities, creating utopia, and I will go and put it in as a file, upload that file, and it will be Dan's World, Church, Dan's World, there it is. All right, and I will tag you and say at Dan Kinzer, here is a GLB of your world and Hawaii map that has been tested in Spatial and seems to work well. All right, so he'll get that, and hopefully, yeah, then that map will work for him. All right, so thanks a lot for watching, if you're watching.